Turn that mic on. Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 541. Good coffee. Good coffee this morning. Happy Friday. It's not a hoodie Friday for me. I'm wearing black because that's my mood when I look out the window and see snow. Jenny's with us. What's up? Snow today. Yes, it sucks. I wasn't expecting this. We are supposed to get a warm up next week. I think starting Monday, we're going to warm up back into the 50s and 60s where it should have been, where it should be now. But we're going to have to suffer through a couple more days of cold, including some snow. It's actually sticking in my backyard, which really sucks when you look out the back window. It's like, oh, it's so pretty. Oh, wait, it's April 8th. So, what's up? Today, I want to talk about tickets. And this is something that's come top of mind here recently over the last couple days. And my thoughts have actually changed on the ticket market. And when I talk the ticket market, I'm talking the current market. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to, full disclosure, I like tickets. But I'm seeing a lot of parallels between the ticket market right now and the modern day trading card market. So I want to share my thoughts on why I'm bearish on certain portions of the ticket market. It's not all ticket stubs that I'm bearish on, but what I'm seeing a lot of parallels between the modern trading card market with tickets. Jenny says you were so close to first homer, just one guy too high on the roster. Yeah, and actually, and I didn't tweet. I was getting ready to tweet it out, but I'm like, oh, it's not fair. The game's already started. It won't count. I'll just have to direct people to my video because Patrick Wisdom actually took one pretty deep into, I think, center field. So I thought that was going to be it. I'm like, here comes the home run. Here comes the first home run of the season. But Ian Happ probably would have been on my list. So let's say it's Cubs and Brewers first game. So out of the 18 players in the two teams lineup, Ian Happ would have been probably the second 9 on my list. There would probably be not Ian Happ, Nico Hoerner. Nico Hoerner was the first home run. And Nico Hoerner would have been in my second 9 as a prediction. I would have put Patrick Wisdom was my first choice. I think Jenny had Rowdy Tellez. He would have been high on my list. Yelich would have been high on my list. Wilson Contreras would have been high on my list. Trying to think. I probably would have had Happ over Hoerner. So Nico Hoerner, first home run of the 2022 season. What's up, Dan? Good evening to you. Abraham, what's up? Flying the W flag, Abraham. Actually, I have the W flag because I have like a flag battle with my neighbor. My neighbor is retired, and he's an all Wisconsin fan. So he flies his Brewers flag. And he didn't start flying sports flags until after I was waving the W. And so now we put out our respective sports flags in season. So I forgot to put out my W flag yesterday afternoon. So I'll have to actually I don't like doing it the day after. I feel like I have some like baseball superstitions, and that's one of them. I don't want to, and I do on occasion, and usually it's when they play the Brewers. It's like, oh, I got to put my W flag to rub it in my neighbor's noses, because I'm that neighbor. But I don't like putting it out especially if today was an off day, I would be okay with it. But since there's another game today, I feel like too close for comfort. I don't want to put that flag up when there's a game in a few hours, which looking outside, Chicago's not too far away from us. I don't know if there's going to be a game today. Looking outside at the Midwest weather. So nice win for the Cubs, edging the Crew. Great to have baseball back. Watched 4 games. I watched Man, I hate MLB. I freaking hate the blackout. Come on. It's not the pace of the game that you're losing fans. It's because your fans can't watch the games. That's why people aren't watching baseball because they can't watch baseball. So it was on, and I'm like, I'm all excited. I'm geared up. I'm ready. I'm sorting through the goodwill. I'll talk about that in a second. MLB Network. It's hey, Cubs and Brewers. It's the only game, so it's going to be on one of the ESPN or MLB Network. Guess what? It's on MLB Network. Oh yeah, I've got MLB Tonight going. We're rolling into the first pitch. Boom! I get that freaking blue screen of death. You're blocked out because I'm in Wisconsin. Now, fortunately, I'm not blacked out for Cubs games. I'm only 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours from Wrigley Field. Um, but yet I'm not blacked out. I'm not blacked out of Cubs games, which is good, but I am for the Brewers, and since they play, and I have YouTube TV, so I don't get the local. I don't even know what channel it's on. Abraham, I'm sure knows. But I don't get whatever channel the Brewers play on. It's not on YouTube TV, so I don't get that channel. So I had nowhere to watch. Fortunately, some people gave me some links, so I was able to watch on one of those websites that has all the pop-up ads. But I was able to watch baseball, and the stream was good the whole way through. So I was able to watch the entire game. And then after the game, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go watch MLB Tonight is on. I'm going to go watch MLB Network for MLB Tonight. And it's still blacked out for like 10, 15 minutes after the game was over. They had that screen on. So if you lived in the blackout areas, so basically Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. Iowa, unfortunately, gets blacked out of like half of Major League Baseball. They just run that. That it's like, can't there be Bally Sports? Thank you. Can't there be counter programming? Like, can't you run like? I know if you're streaming, like radio stations can stream, and I'm sure it's even better now than what it was when I worked in radio, which has now been 10, 12 years ago. You had to flip, if you were playing. So the last radio station I worked at, we were a White Sox and Cubs affiliate. One of our stations had the White Sox, one had the Cubs. So I had to go in and like manually flip the switch to stop the streaming because we streamed online because it's obviously against MLB rules and NBA rules and the different sports organizations rules to stream. But we would run counter programming on those radio stations, so it wasn't dead air for 3 hours. We ran like a nationally syndicated show or music. And so why MLB Network can't do that? 3 hours, 3.5 hours of airtime that they could put commercials, and they're blacking everybody out and not even running counter programming. And I get like if you want to watch like, oh, I want to watch Cubs and Brewers and you don't know about the blackout restrictions, like run a freaking ticker at the bottom. You're blacked out from the Cubs Brewers, but hey, here's something to watch. Uh it's opening freaking day. It's opening day. This is what pisses me off. It's opening day. Opening day. The very first baseball game on opening day in which you have deprived fans of a few weeks of the season. Well, 1 week of the regular season, some spring training. You have deprived the fans of baseball because of the owners and players not agreeing. And then on opening day, the very first game is blacked out for hundreds of thousands, millions of people, because you have Chicago. Millions of people are blacked out, and there's zero baseball content on the MLB Network. How ludicrous. How ridiculous. Unimaginable. but we want to speed up the game because people are not watching because the game's too slow. No, you idiots. People can't watch your product. Not even not, not even counter programming. Not even Harold Reynolds and Dan Plezak in the studio talking about the game. You have nothing on your channel for 3.5 hours on opening effing day. Opening day. Yeah, it is effing nuts, Dan. MLB is dumb. Like, the more I think about it, the more, like, yesterday, I just kind of I rolled with the punches. But now that I've slept on it, I've even had a couple sips of coffee and it still pisses me off. Opening day. Opening day. Probably doesn't help that it's snowing outside. That puts me in a sour mood. It is Friday, though, and I have a card show tomorrow. Rockford, Illinois, Rock Church, Harrison Avenue. I still have to dump the rest of my Goodwill stuff down here in the basement, bring all my card show inventory back up into my SUV. So I'll be there at the Rock Church tomorrow, Rockford, Illinois. Quarter boxes, dollar boxes. So that's tomorrow. I'm going to go to the chat. Let's see. Straight Execution, what's up? Herman is with us. My coworker who was at the Royals game last night wouldn't give me his ticket stub. He's already had someone offer him $120 and he took the offer. And that's exactly, Bob, that's exactly what has led me to today's topic on the current market on tickets. The Royals and the Bobby Witt Jr. game. So I'm going to get into that here in a second. His first homer since 2019. My second team to cheer for is officially decided, the Cubs. I love it. Yes. I will still be a Twins fan, but can't watch them, so I need a team I can watch and enjoy. I get the Cubs games every year. Awesome. Welcome to the Cubs. We are welcoming to new fans. Some fans don't like it when new fans come aboard. We are not. We are accepting. Cubs fans are accepting of new Cubs fans. What's up, Mark? Good morning to you. Glad Valley Sports carries all the Braves games. There you go. We get every Red Sox game free with basic cable, get a replay every morning. So, Mark, we do get all of the Brewers games free in Wisconsin with cable, but I don't have cable. I have YouTube TV, and YouTube TV no longer carries Bally Sports, which is so Bally Sports is what used to be Fox Sports. Bally bought the Fox Sports regional networks, not Fox itself, but the Fox Sports regional networks, Fox Sports Chicago, Fox Sports Southeast, Texas, whatever those are. Twins will air 2 games in 2022 in Minnesota, one on Fox, one on ESPN. I don't care for the Twins in 2022. Go Cubs. I love it. I've never understood blackouts anyway. Why cut your fans off? It's so archaic because it's dumb in the sense that, like, look at the state of Iowa where 6 teams are blacked out. But hey, Iowa, how long does it take you to get to the nearest stadium? Blackout restrictions were created when pro sports franchises couldn't get enough fans in the stands. Now, this is like way before the internet. This is like back the early days of TV. And I don't know when blackout restrictions began, maybe the 70s, maybe even earlier. But it was because fans were watching the games on TV and skipping. So it's a very old way to look at things. And it's generational. So, and I remember when I worked in radio, we ran a high school basketball Christmas tournament at the university, and it was one of the biggest and best small school Christmas tournaments in Illinois. And Illinois is big on Christmas tournaments. You can't have a Christmas tournament in Iowa. Iowa, what's going on with the state of Iowa? Anyway. But we had some of the older generation that were on the board of the holiday tournament. They didn't want radio to come in because radio takes away from people coming to the game because they can sit at home and listen to the radio. And then when streaming came along in the late 90s, early 2000s, then it was like, oh God, no, we can't have that. But it's a generational thing where back in the 50s, the onset of television, oh my God, television is going to take away our people coming out to the game. Where that's long gone. And now there are so many other options. People aren't not going to games in person because of TV. Uh it's the internet is a big thing. There's so many it's and I guess I shouldn't say that's not that is part of the reason, but the biggest part of the reason is there's so many opportunities on TV, on the internet, on your freaking phone. You can sit in the grocery store parking lot and turn a game on. So there's a lot that goes into it. But blackout restrictions now in 2022 are just it's stupid, it's archaic. Um I understood it at the time, and it should be even if there is blackout, I think even local blackout restrictions are stupid, but the MLB blackout restrictions are extremely stupid. When you have like the state of Iowa blacked out from Cubs games, well, just from the Illinois Iowa border to Wrigley Field is 3 hours, and then that's just from the border, and then if you're talking Des Moines, shoot, Des Moines what 6 hours from Wrigley Field, so it's you're not going to jump in your. It's like the game starts at 1:20 at Wrigley Field, and you're in Des Moines, blacked out because of the stupid MLB blackout restrictions. Oh, hey, there's a Cubs game on in an hour. I'm going to jump in the car and drive to Chicago. Oh, by the time you get there, the game's long over. So MLB, your blackout restrictions are stupid. Who even comes up with the Iowa being blacked out of 6? Stupid. And I'm sure some of it now has to do with uh, the local TV markets. So yeah, you have to get cable. You have to get cable. But now we have so many options. I have YouTube TV because cable's too freaking expensive. I don't want cable. I want YouTube TV. It's cheaper and I get the same channels minus my baseball games, but it's the Brewers, so I don't care. Anyway. Anyway. Diego, what's up? Abraham says Odyssey lets the score keep the Cubs games audio up. Interesting. That must be something new. Hoping this is the beginning of taking down content hurdles. I freaking hope so. Johnny Boy Cards, what's up? Good morning to you. Victor's with us. Zach, good morning, playing catch up. Diego, he's putting a package in for you. Porter won't shut up about it, putting pressure on me like a boss at the end of the quarter. David's with us. What's up? I have my second softball game tomorrow. We won our first game, 1-0 for Dan. First time in a softball league. Awesome. I've never played in a rec softball league. I've never really had the interest. I've had friends and I've gone and just hung out, but I've never actually played in a softball league. Let's see. Fubo TV carries the Marquee network. Interesting. See, I think I'm blacked out of Marquee because I'm outside of the and this is just how dumb it is. Like I have to work hard just to find games. Fubo TV, like in I think Marquee is available on like Amazon, but not to me. You have to be within like the home. So while it's like the reverse blackout. Like if you're inside the Cubs viewing area, you get Marquee Network. But if it's on MLB Network or if it's on ESPN, you're blacked out. But the reverse, if you're outside of the viewing area, you can watch it on ESPN, you can watch it on MLB Network, but you can't even access Marquee Network if you're out of market, which is dumb. Dan says, Bo, did you have Sports Channel in your hometown? Yes, we did. Sports Channel, I remember watching Sports Channel because they ran, for a few years, they ran the Illinois high school basketball state championship games. Jenny says they need to change the restrictions ever since pandemic. Exactly. There's so many. There's so many reasons. And that's another good reason to, people still aren't comfortable going into a crowded stadium. Let's see. Sports Vision before it became Sports Channel. I don't remember I remember Sports Channel because I think that came on. I think it switched over to Sports Channel in the early 90s. So I had cable like very early on in my childhood. And then when we moved, so until like 1988. So it was like the the reverse. Like usually it's like you graduate into cable. And it was the reverse for my my parents. My dad hated bills. My dad was and I can say this because everybody in my family said it. Rest in peace, Dad. He was penny wise and dollar dumb. He would spend $1 to save 20 cents. And so once he built a house when we moved in 1988 to the new house, and that was something that cut the cord. No more cable. I remember watching MTV as a kid, waiting for certain songs to come on as I was like 6, 7 years old. Um, I remember watching Howard the Duck. Surprised my parents let me on like because we had Showtime and HBO. I remember Nickelodeon, the early days of Nickelodeon. But then when we moved to the new house, we didn't have cable, and so I went from like the age of 6 until I moved out of the house before I had cable again. So I had to go to my friend's house to watch Sports Channel. So I don't really remember Sports Channel until like the early 90s. Let's see. Zach lived in Rogers Park. Um, Next door neighbor was Lara Flynn Boyle. That's cool. Victor says, do you have data internet limits per month watching YouTube? No. No limits. Let's see. Where are we at? This is my first summer I will not have played in a baseball league. Started when I was 6 or 7. Holy cow. Victor lives in Chicago, and I had access to Marquee via Fubo. Yeah, because you're within the Chicago viewing area. I'm in Madison, so I'm outside of, which is good because I can watch all the games on MLB TV, but I also can't access Marquee Network. I would rather have Marquee Network than MLB TV because I'm excited the first couple of weeks of the season and I'll watch various games, but then after 2 weeks it's like, okay, just give me my Cubs games. So I don't even have access to Marquee because I'm outside of the Chicago viewing area. Jenny says I can pay for any streaming, even Bally Sports, and I'm blacked out from Twins games, and I live an hour away. That sucks. I had some friends that went to St. Iggy's. Zach moved to Wisconsin in '87. Let's see. Diego says, I'll tell you what sport doesn't get blacked out: curling. There you go. Do you think that blackout rules are just some fine print in old contracts that people have neglected to update? I think maybe at one time, but now we are in 2022. The internet and streaming is still fairly new in the grand scheme of television. I think it's maybe a decade old for mainstream streaming. So I don't think it's a contractual thing anymore. Especially with the outcry here recently with the blackout rules. I honestly don't know why it is the way it is. I would love to hear somebody's viewpoint within MLB or somebody's worked with TV contracts and sports organizations on why that's the case. And I hope the answer is not, well, it's the way we've always done it. Kind of going into what you said about the fine print in old contracts. Shout out to the Schlabotnik report. Abraham says, I've been sailing the 7 seas of internet links for sports for about 4 years now, right? Fortunately, I haven't had to do that often. Before I had YouTube, we just got YouTube TV a year or two ago. So I always had access to, we had cable. So I had the Bally/Fox Sports Wisconsin. So I had the Brewer games that when the Cubs played, I could watch. But I'm not into like the fights. Like I know I have some friends that are into like UFC and running those. Um, so, but I've like maybe once I've tried watching those. Um, let's see. Victor says, "Can you listen on radio broadcast?" So I can. I didn't. Somebody mentioned that it was not blacked out. It might have been you on Odyssey. Um, I do have MLB TV where I can listen to. Although I'm black, I think radio doesn't follow the TV blackout rules. So I think on MLB TV, and I think you can still listen to the radio broadcast. It's just a TV thing where you can't watch the game if you're in a blackout area, but you can listen to the game on radio through MLB TV. In the past, the streams, the online streams have been blacked out, or whatever you call it for radio. I should know. I worked in radio for over a decade. Um, let's see. For MLB TV, you need to be a baseball in general. Blackout's all Phillies games, so what is the point? Yeah, if I would have zero. If I was blacked out of Cubs on MLB TV, I would have no reason to get MLB TV. It's I can't believe here we are in 2022 still talking about blackout rules. Jenny got scammed on Amazon. That sucks. Doesn't protect you from third-party sellers. I have to go file a police report. Holy crap. Diego likes his radio broadcast team. Same here. I like the Cubs radio team better than the TV radio team. And here's why. It takes and I saw this firsthand being a play-by-play announcer. You have to get used to the talent that's on the radio. That's calling the game, radio or TV. And when Bob Brenly started as color commentator on Cubs TV, I didn't like him, but I grew to love him. And then he left. And then Jim DeShays came on, and I hated Jim DeShays at first, but I've grown to like him. I still liked Bob Brenly better than Jim DeShays, but I like Jim DeShays. Boog Shambi, I'm still like, I liked Len. I was a big Len Casper guy, and it's hard for me to because I still have that Len Casper. I want Len Casper, not Boog Shambi. I also don't like that Boog Shambi doesn't do all the games. Like, I feel like he's not loyal to the Cubs because he's off doing some national games and misses Cubs games. So I don't like that. Pat Hughes, probably one of my all-time, he's on my personal Mount Rushmore of announcers. Pat Hughes, radio voice of the Cubs, awesome guy. And Ron Coomer. See, Ron Coomer, I did not like at first as a color commentator on radio. Now I love Ron Coomer. And I think that was because I was such a big Ron Santo fan. And I know a lot of people didn't like Ron Santo because he was pretty over the top. He was Harry Carey-ish on the radio. But now I've grown to love Ron Coomer. And the Pat and Ron is just an awesome duo. So I'm much bigger fan of the radio team for the Cubs than I am the TV team. Let's see. Jenny ordered a swing set. Seller sent a random 19-pound package to a random address and name in the same city, state. So Amazon says it's delivered, but it's not. Wow. They should do something. We had something similar happen, and I'm pretty sure it was a third-party seller. It was actually a treadmill, and it was delivered to like San Antonio, Texas. But they stepped in right away. My wife was handling it, so I can't remember how it all went down. But I don't know if the seller, like, it was just a mistake on the seller's part and they made it right away, or if Amazon stepped in. I can't remember how it went. But yeah, we had a similar thing happen, but we were able to either reaching out to the seller or getting Amazon involved. It worked out. UPS said they see that happen often on Amazon, eBay looking better and better. Yeah, just like I said, we had that happen with a treadmill delivered to San Antonio, Texas. I had to do my first eBay claim return yesterday. That sucks. Cubs radio team is awesome. Mark listens a lot on the radio. Bartman loved the radio broadcast too. Yes, he did. These blackout rules supposedly protect the exclusive broadcast rights for that regional sports networks. That makes sense. It's still dumb. It's still dumb. Let's see. I love that with my MLB app subscription. I get the radio call for all the games. Porter and I love the Cleveland broadcast guy, but we were Sox fans. He's too good not to like. I agree. There's some. That's kind of the cool thing. You can get a taste of other announcing teams across MLB. Straight execution. Don't know why, but I can't stand Ron Darling commentary. I'm kind of with you. I'm not a big Ron Darling fan either. I think he just makes stuff up as he goes. Jason Benetti is really good. Only reason I watch Sox. The Sox, I think, and this is coming from a big-time Cubs homer, the White Sox broadcast teams across the board are the best in baseball. And I'm talking combined TV and radio. The White Sox have the best broadcast teams. Now, a few years ago, I would have said that they had the worst because Hawk Harrelson was the worst announcer of all time. Jason Benetti, freaking awesome. Steve Stone, absolutely love him. I hate Dusty Baker for pushing Steve Stone out of Wrigley Field, out of the Cubs as a color commentator. Let's see. And now radio, guess who the radio announcer is for the White Sox? My guy, Len Casper. Let's see. Where are we at? Diego says this is Larry Anderson last year. He's a Phillies fan when he calls the game, often had to bite his tongue. I love that. John, what's up? That 70s card show. Always knew Bo was a bear. And we're 32 minutes in. That's how Fridays go. Fridays, I kind of just ramble. We have great chat going on Fridays. And I'll get to my bearish ticket talk here in a second. Red Sox own the network they're on. LOL, I just got the Bartman comment because he was wearing headphones in the game. Yeah, he was listening to the radio broadcast. Let's see. Blackout rules are archaic. Totally agree. Go Cubs Sox broadcast number 1. We had Hawk Harrelson as a Red Sox announcer in the 70s. My apologies. Jenny, let's see. How was Bo's eBay sales for opening day? Pretty crappy. Better than I expected. I actually checked this morning. My sales, it felt like throughout the day, maybe because I didn't leave the house yesterday. I was watching baseball and going through my Goodwill stuff. But it seemed like, and I think when you like stare at your phone, like where's my eBay sales? You kind of feel like they're not coming in fast and furious. But I had a decent sales day. I would call it average. Now today's Friday. Wednesday was awful. Wednesday was one of my worst sales days. Outside of my trip, outside of the week I was in Arizona, Wednesday was pretty bad. So hoping it picks up today and into the weekend. Abraham Spoiled is a Brewer fan with having the voice of Bob. I love Bob Uecker. He's so awesome. Bob Uecker's great. I get to go to my last card show until the middle of the summer this weekend. It's a small hotel show, but it should be fun. That's cool. Brian, what's up? Cubs didn't suck yesterday. How about that? I love it. I absolutely love it. So before I get into my ticket talk, I do want to share some more insight into my Goodwill palette. Picked up the third Goodwill palette Wednesday afternoon. Was it Wednesday afternoon? Yes, because yesterday was Thursday. Wednesday afternoon, started digging through, and I think it's going to be a dud. Now, I've shown off there's been some good cards, but remember, I paid $440. I was definitely spoiled with the first 2 palettes. Mike Trout rookie and palette number 1, beginner's luck. Had that Marvel rare promo card that sold for $400 in palette 2. Haven't come across any big hits like that. Now the Dwayne Wade Marquette card from his freshman year, pretty rare. And it's hard to find comps because it is so rare. But just kind of what I've seen out there, I'm guessing the value is somewhere in the $50 to $100 range, which is great because that card was in that clear plastic bag that I showed. I'm like, here's the good and the bad. I'm going to show the bad along with the good of what comes with this Goodwill lot. It's not all Mike Trout rookies and Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders rookies. No, no. There's a lot of garbage in here as well. Literally garbage. So, that Dwayne Wade was actually in that garbage bag, which I think it probably is a garbage bag. So there's, it's much like that first pallet I bought where I threw a lot of cards away just because of damage, ding corners, and they're, commons from the 80s and 90s. So I threw a lot away. A lot of these are just going to go in common boxes that I'll bulk out and sell on Facebook Marketplace. But there are some cards that'll go in quarter boxes, dollar boxes. I showed off some cards, even though some of the autographs that were pulled out will go in the quarter box just because they're damaged. The Dwayne Wade, probably the biggest hit so far. Barry Sanders and Troy Aikman from '89 Pro Set. It was in a 800 count box of '89 Pro Set cards, and I'm like, well, here's another partial set with the rookies pulled, and I start flipping through. Well, here's a Deion Sanders rookie. Here's a Derek Thomas rookie. I know the Aikman and Sanders are going to be pulled. Oh, here's Troy Aikman. Here's Barry Sanders. So I think it was the complete set of '89 Pro Set, but I'll just break it up and put the rookies on eBay. So those were a couple good cards. Outside of that, probably some, again, quantity of like $5 and $10 cards. It's going to take a lot of work to recoup my money from what I've seen so far, but there's a lot in basically this palette contained a lot of what you saw in that clear plastic bag. A lot of cards just thrown in tubs, and so that's what I'm seeing. There are some binders, couple Kobe Bryant second year cards. Looked them up, not very valuable. Talking $5 and under on those. A couple Michael Jordan cards, but again, a few bucks here. So it's kind of a dud, unless there's a Mark Trout rookie hiding out or something similar. This is going to be a dud, because what's left that I need to pull out a couple of like huge tubs where it's just thrown in. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to try to, in fact, today I'm going to do more shipping since I'll be out all day tomorrow at the card show. I'll probably just bring them down into the basement, so I can get my inventory and then just slowly, go through them. So, pretty much a dud, but still fun. Like I'd rather spend $400 on a bunch of even garbage cards that I'm going to have to throw away, with the potential of a hit, than spending that money on a hobby box of a product. I've listened to an Aussie call a baseball game and don't need to hear it again. Let's see. Let me know what you have for my million Chris Sabo cards project. You shouldn't throw them away. Ship some to Commons for Kids, tax deduction, and a good cause. I will look in. I mean, the cards I'm throwing away are not worthy of being gifted or donated. They're in really crappy condition. It's just they're better off being recycled, and not given away or donated or anything like that. If this palette is a dud, will it turn you off from palettes or will you continue on? Oh, totally continue on, because it's still, even if it's a dud, like bare minimum, I'll break even. With reselling, the commons I can bulk out, even if it's a smaller amount, say $100, value on the commons, say I get, $50 for the Dwayne Wade, $10 here, $10 there, it'll add up. It'll take some work. It's not ideal from a business standpoint, but it's fun and there's still some money to be made. It would take a really bad dud, a run of bad duds. So far, this still has enough in it to make it fun. There's some really nice plaques that I talked about yesterday as well. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, J.J. Watt that might even sell on eBay. So it would take a run. It would take multiple like really crappy duds. Like, even though I'm calling this a dud, in reality, it's not really a dud. It's just a dud compared to this one today. Uh, I would so far from what I've found, um, I would compare it to the first pallet that contained the Mike Trout, because that was kind of a if you isolate the Mike Trout, it was a dud. There was a lot of decent stuff in there, but a lot of $5 cards, dollar cards. So a lot of stuff that I ended up recycling. The second pallet was like all modern and in great condition, well kept. And so I didn't even put any in the common bulk lot because it's new stuff that I can use. So it would take a run on some really crappy stuff before I was turned off. I have a feeling you're going to find another 100 card. I hope so. I hope so. What's up, F&H Media? Good morning. What market area, city are you in? I'm in Wisconsin. So I am in the Milwaukee market when it comes to baseball. This time you chose the wrong door. Womp womp, right? Okay, let's talk tickets. I'm 40 minutes in, haven't grazed the subject. So, I am bearish on tickets. And before I go into my why I'm bearish, by the way, hit the like button, please. If you do like the content, I appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm bearish on the ticket market. However, with that being said, I like tickets. I collect Cubs tickets. I think there is parts of the ticket market to be bullish on. What I'm bearish on is the current, what I'm seeing a lot, and I'm in if you're on Facebook and if you have any interest in tickets and ticket stubs, check out Booger's Ticket Stubs. It's a huge ticket group on Facebook, and I've learned a lot in just a few months of being in that group. But what I've seen lately, and I can now relate, and I can be critical of opinions in the hobby that differ from mine. I admit it. I admit it. Um, and often I'm critical of those people that call themselves the true collectors. I hate that term. I still do. But I can kind of relate now that I've witnessed the ticket market and where it's going. So if I was, because tickets for me, and I'll kind of explain my standpoint on this. Tickets for me is just a great complement to cards. Number one collectible for me, you know, Cubs baseball cards. That's my thing. I'm a baseball card guy. I like autographs. Baseball cards are number one. I do enjoy autographs. I like the chase, the thrill of getting an autograph. Um, Autographs are also a great complement to player and team collections. And I see the same with tickets and ticket stubs. They can be great complements, especially if you're a player or team collector. I'm a big Javi Baez fan. I would love it. In fact, I reached out to my friend who he no longer works for the organization, but for the Peoria Chiefs. I was actually working for the Peoria Chiefs when Javi Baez made his professional debut with Peoria. I think he had played like Arizona League ball, but his first full season, in fact, I think his first, he didn't play short season ball. So his debut with the Peoria Chiefs, I was there. I think it was Memorial Day, actually, 2012. I was in a working capacity, so I didn't have a ticket. I've got my badge. It's pretty cool. It's got my picture on it, and it's very professional looking. So I have that, but I don't have a ticket. And so this was a few years ago, before the ticket buzz popped up. When did the ticket buzz pop up? Probably 2019, 20, somewhere in there. It was pre-COVID where it started gaining traction. Darren Rovell, I guess, can be credited from a mainstream. I know he's a love-hate guy. I enjoy his content, but sometimes his stuff kind of falls flat for me. But anyway, he was kind of the first big name that was promoting the ticket as a hobby, as a collectible. So maybe around that time, I'm like, you know what? And I've always thought that the season ticket books were cool for the Cubs, and I wanted to pick those up. And I had those on my want list back in 2019. But it's like I don't want to spend. I can buy a nice vintage tobacco card for $100. Why do I want tickets? I like these, but yeah. I ended up buying the 2014, 15, and 16 Cubs season ticket books here recently because of the spike in popularity for tickets. And these tickets for the Cubs, obviously 2016 World Series year, 2014 Javi Baez debut, Chris Bryant debut in 15. So there's a lot of milestones within those books, and I actually got them for a good price from my opinion. So I reached out to my contact. He was still with the Peoria Chiefs at the time, and I said, "Hey, is there any way you have a ticket stub lying around from May 28th, 2012? It's Javi's debut with Peoria. I was working there, so I don't have a ticket, but I'd really like one for my collection." And he's like, "No, we don't we don't have any tickets lying around, but I can ask the ticket guy if he can like print one up. It's not a legit real ticket, but at least it's something. I was there. I don't need it's not for me to resell. It's not for me, it's for my own personal. I was there. I would like something to commemorate. Remember, I'm a hoarder. I'm a collector slash hoarder. So I want something. Javi Baez is my number one guy. He's who I collect. So I would like to have something to commemorate that game, the first Peoria Chiefs. I was there. I was in the booth. Basically a front row, not literally a front row seat, but a press box front row seat to watch Javi. So, um, so that's my background on tickets. And I've when people ask me when I was doing trades for Cubs cards, people would ask me, "Hey, I've got some Cubs ticket stubs. Would you be interested in those as well?" Absolutely. And somebody sent a whole pile, and I've talked about this where one was my birthday, June 6th, 1982. Nothing happened on that day, but the Cubs played the Expos. Randy Martz was the starting pitcher. Um, so I just wanted that to commemorate my birthday. No reason, but it's just something. I think tickets are a great complement to collections. So I understand. With that being said, to me it's fun, and it's tickets are a hobby to me. Um, so now when I see people getting upset with just piggybacking on yesterday, people want to buy WWE cards. Um, in Prism hobby boxes are like $1,000, which wow, I'm sorry if you spent $1,000 on a hobby box because I've seen singles prices. I'm glad that I did not partake. Anyway, I digress. Now I can relate to why people are upset with uh, all of a sudden all of this new blood popping into wanting WWE cards, jumping on the bandwagon. So I see this in this ticket group on Facebook because up until recently, it's been a lot of really cool tickets, uh, vintage tickets. Here's my collection, Dan's friend that has the Carlton Fisk collection, collections like that. But here in the last 2 weeks, every freaking post is here's the teams that are printing modern day tickets. Bobby Witt Jr. ticket for sale. And that's why I put that on the thumbnail, because it's like every other post. And somebody even made a post yesterday about, is this the Boogers ticket stub group, or is it the Bobby Witt Jr. tickets for sale group? There's a hell of a lot more people looking to sell those than there are looking to buy, at least from what I'm seeing. And so and I flip cards. Selling baseball cards is my job. So I relate to flippers, and I understand it. But to me, when I see this and I see the Johnny come latelys jumping into these markets just for a quick flip, it just seems slimy to me. And I see Bobby Witt Jr. I went and bought 6 tickets for $30 or whatever the cheapest are, and now they're for sale for 200. It just seems like it's a false market. Now, I'm not saying tickets in general are a false market. I'm bearish on the current market trend of tickets, of people prospecting ticket stubs. That's what it is. These are the first Bowmans of tickets. And yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. had a hell of a game yesterday. He hit the go-ahead double, scored the game-winning run, go-ahead run for the Royals. But who's to say Bobby Witt Jr. becomes Bobby Witt Sr.? I know Bobby Witt Sr. was a pitcher, but Bobby Witt had a great career. Bobby Witt had a great career. But how much is his debut ticket stub going to sell for? And you look back, and in fact, my buddy Johnny is into tickets. And so he was tweeting, he's got a bunch of he's been speculating on Albert Pujols tickets, which in that market, I'm a little more bullish on, because Albert Pujols is in his swan song. He's back in St. Louis. So I think the market has on Albert Pujols there's a resurgence. I think he belongs in St. Louis to finish his career, and that's coming from a Cardinals hater. I hate the Cardinals. But I think Albert Pujols belongs with the Cardinals to finish his career. And I hope he does well when it's not against the Cubs. And if it doesn't cost the Cubs a playoff spot, which we all know that's not happening. So I like that Albert Pujols is back in a Cardinals uniform where he belongs, in my opinion. So I think, the LA, like, he wasn't an LA guy. He played there for a long time. But, he belongs in St. Louis. And now there's this resurgence of Albert Pujols. So I get those types of that market for tickets, but not the prospecting on debut tickets, because who knows who they could turn into. They could turn into the next, I'm going to go on the Cubs. They could turn into the next Lance Dixon or Gary Scott. You never know. A Gary Scott debut, if you plant, all things the same, it's 1991 and the ticket market is what it is today. A Gary Scott Cubs debut ticket would be along the same lines as a Bobby Witt Jr., because he was this highly talented prospect, the next Ron Santo at third base for the Chicago Cubs, a team deprived of a top-tier third baseman for, at that point, 20 years. So Jerome Walton. Yeah, and Jerome Walton had an okay career. He was rookie of the year, so his market would have been hot. His market was hot for a year, and then he, didn't do so well the rest of his career. So I'm bearish on the current trend of prospecting, speculating on like the Bobby Witt Juniors, the Spencer Torkelsons, the Julio Rodriguez. But I love the market on vintage. I love the vintage market for tickets. And I think that, just like in baseball, I think that's what's going to stand the test of time. So that's why I'm bearish on tickets. It's more because it's speculation. It's a gamble. And I think there's a false market. I think there's more supply, even though it's limited for hard copy of tickets these days. I still think there's more supply. There's more people trying to get in on this game than I think there are people wanting the tickets. Maybe that changes in the future as less and less hard copy tickets are printed. And if these prospects, now rookies, pan out and have success, but I'm bearish overall on the modern ticket market, not vintage. I still think I'm bullish on the vintage market. So I don't want to confuse there. I'm going to go back to the chat. Let's see. Where am I at? Abraham, I have a big stack of stubs from the games I've attended over the years, but most places don't give physical tickets anymore. So I've lost steam for sure. Definitely. And you can make special requests. And this Facebook group actually has like a spreadsheet of these teams will not, under any circumstances, offer hard copy tickets. The Cubs are one of those teams. Some will do it for a fee, and some will do it when asked, and then some it's just natural. Very few. It's just natural where you go buy a ticket and it's a hard copy. Everything's being run through like the ballpark app. Um, let's see. Michael, I'm about 10 minutes behind, but agree Hawk was the worst of all time, not even close. If you don't remember Bo's a hoarder, just look at his screen behind me. I do mean that in no in no way mean. I am the same way. Need a storage unit. eBay was slow for a week or so. They do look to have fixed the issue of searches based on my traffic data. Yeah, I had that one day where it was just absolutely atrocious on search, and then it spiked after. Although my metrics are still down, I was up over 14 million impressions, and now I'm like down in the 12s, like 12.7 million, despite adding like 500 items last week. I've been a little slower this week because of the Goodwill lot, but hope to pick things back up after the show. Try to and get some of this new stuff listed. Dan says, I assume that it's all types of tickets and not just sports. There is, and yeah, there's a pickup in other like movie. I've seen movie tickets being posted. Concert tickets have always had a market, much like sports. I shouldn't say always, but concert tickets and baseball, other sports tickets have had a similar marketplace. But I've seen like other things become popular. John says tickets are now NFTs. That's right. I'm ticked because my Cole Hamels no hitter against the Cubs that broke a 50-year no hit streak is a piece of paper, a printed piece of paper. Let's see. Mark says I have a binder of concert tickets. That's really cool. And Mark played against Bobby Witt Sr. in high school. That's awesome. Bobby Witt may have had a great career, but his market is limited to those that watched him because I don't know anything of the guy. Yeah, he did have a great career. Mostly Ticketron. Let's see. Didn't Dwight Smith? Dwight Smith was runner up. Runner up. Yep. Jerome Walton was rookie of the year. Dwight Smith runner up. Gary Scott was never even the next Keith Moreland. That ain't that the truth. Vintage World Series tickets aren't cheap. Haven't been for a while. Yeah, and I used to have a watch list for vintage Cubs World Series tickets. 1927, 1945. But even a couple years ago, it was going to set you back a couple $100 for some of those. And I haven't looked. I deleted those from my watch list because I would, even now with tickets, becoming a bigger collectibles market, it's just not my thing. I don't want to spend $300 on a ticket stub, even though it has, a lot of historical value. I would rather spend $300 on a Joe Tinker T205, T202, a card, because I'm a card guy. But I do appreciate tickets, and I think they are a great complement to collections. I'm running up against the hour, so I want to run. My eBay went Paddock traded, boom, sales of his. Horner hits homer, boom, sales of his. I had a run on Seth Beer. He had a 3-run homer last night. So yeah, I love those trends when it's like all of a sudden you get these sales notifications. Oh, check your stats. Oh yeah, Seth Beer just hit a home run. I do want to follow up my Prism talk from yesterday with just kind of an update on the market. I'll do that on maybe Monday. No show tomorrow because I'll be on the way. I'll be driving down to Rockford for the Northern Illinois Card Show. So no show on Saturday. Sunday, I'll do the card show review Sunday morning, probably between 8-9 a.m. Central Time. And then Monday morning, I'll do a follow-up on WWE Prism because I am very happy. Because a few days ago I said I may pull the trigger on a couple boxes of this. And after seeing some data on the day of release and the day after release, whew, I think I avoided the bullet on WWE Prism. So I want to share my thoughts and the trends. And plus, after a weekend of more being open, we'll get a more clear look at the where the market settles. I always like looking at the Monday trends or after Sunday trends of new products when they come out on Wednesday. You get those first, some people don't get their boxes until Friday. Then you have the weekend of opening. So we'll see where that all falls. What else? One other thing to touch on. Today's Friday, Retail Friday. I am going to check out some retail just in case there's Prism retail, because I would love to open some WWE Prism. Hell no at the hobby box prices, but definitely at retail. And also, I'd like to open some blasters of Overtime Elite Topps Chrome. I think that's a cool product. I have some Overtime Elite Topps Now cards, and I think Topps Chrome Basketball is a cool look, even though it's Overtime Elite. Some of these guys might be in the NBA in a couple years, so I am on the lookout for that as well. Vintage Cubs World Series tickets is an oxymoron. Well, you have to go way back. You have to go way back. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit subscribe. Appreciate it. I will provide some more updates. I'm probably circling back to Goodwill, the Goodwill palette. I probably won't do another live video just because it's kind of a lot of junk. So I'll share some of the finds if I find through, but I think it would just waste our time digging through a bunch of commons, and it wouldn't be good video. So I'll share any finds I'll share on Twitter today. So have a great Friday, and we'll chat again with the Northern Illinois Card Show review on Sunday morning.